Hi, I'm Smitty, and I'm here with Charles Phillips, who's a pretty fascinating guy. Charles is an animator, a historian, and an instructor at the Vancouver Institute of Media Arts in animation. He worked with Lee Mishkin, Academy Award-winning founder of the Van Arts Classical Animation program. But we're not going to talk so much about him. What really fascinates me about Charles and why I wanted to introduce him to you is because he is a font of historical knowledge in the media arts, the history of film, animation, broadcasting. So we're going to talk with Charles Phillips, my favorite historian, about the history of media arts. Thanks for joining us, Charles. I was fascinated when I first met you. You gave a lecture to the broadcast students on the history of radio. And I was just curious. Tell me your earliest memory of media, animation or radio or TV.
A lot, I think, is from my dad. He was British and came to Canada back in the 50s and retained lifelong interest in his home. He used to listen to the BBC. Probably my memory of my father, my late father, is him sitting in the couch listening to the radio. As a kid, you like your dad, and what my dad liked, I wanted to try. He liked jigsaw puzzles, I liked jigsaw puzzles. He loved listening to the radio. It was a natural habit, and so it became for me.
Why the fascination with the history of radio and television and the old-time stuff?
I guess part of that is due to my upbringing. We had a big family, and family had a lot of friends, big circle of friends. So I grew up hanging around with a lot of very old people. When I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, I knew a lot of people in their 80s and 90s. And I remember a memory pops in my head, sitting on the floor playing with my toy soldiers with my best friend. And his grandfather came in and he says hi, and he was a World War I veteran, and we chatted for a while. I don't know what he thought of us playing with our little toy soldiers on the rug. He was a veteran of World War I and World War II. And he says hi and leaves and so on. I remember my friend whispering to me, my grandpa fought, and he told me the battle, I don't remember, it was probably Passchendaele, perhaps Ypres, and he said he was gassed by the poison gas. And so as a kid, I sort of grew up interested in older things, I guess, because I grew up with a lot of older people. I valued their experience.
I want you to tell me the story of the painted wall you found in Vancouver.
Paint on a wall and some advertising, and then you cover up the wall, and you find that you have some reason to tear it down, and you discover there's an old sign there.
So how did you find out it was there?
One of my students came by and said, hey, you might want to go take a look at this. It was known that I really like silent films. I really like the silent filmmaker, the comedian Harold Lloyd. And there was this ghost sign for one of his movies on the wall. So I went and took a look.
Oh, come on. You rushed right down.
Perhaps that's one way of describing it. I ventured over there. Here we are, we're at the corner of Robson and Granville Street, downtown Vancouver, in the face of an astonishing bit of a cinema archaeology. Hidden for 90 years, no less, here was this movie ad. The film, Harold Lloyd's Grandma's Boy, and there's a bit of an advertising tagline there, his first five-part feature. Alongside a little bit fun little drawing of a hand pointing across the street. This is called a ghost sign. It's pointing to a ghost theater. The theater's not there anymore, the Capitol Theater. So this is historically a very big deal. Anyway, back then comedy was looked down upon, and it was consigned like a ghetto to the shorts. It was only going to be of a certain length compared to the feature length, and that was to be more prestigious work like drama. And Chaplin and Harold Lloyd fought to legitimize comedy as an art and as a business. And each of them, every couple of years, would kind of make longer and longer movies. And Harold Lloyd sort of technically qualifies as the first feature-length maker. Come to find out, of course, it was destined to be torn down. Come to find out one day, a student walks by and said, oh, they tore it down, Charles. I rushed over.
Okay, this time you rushed.
This time I rushed over because every second counts. And sure enough, it was gone in a pile of rubble. And I asked one of the workers, I called him over, and I said, this is going to sound weird, but can I have one of the bricks? He fished out one. And nice guy, because he fished out one that was one of the more colorful ones from the sign. I don't know what he thought about me, but
who cares?
I'm glad, because now I got a brick from
And you still have it?
From the sign. Yeah, it's in my office.
All of your favorites, radio, movies, seem to be from the 1920s and 30s. Was it just better then? Why are those your favorite?
I do not think just because it's old, it's automatically better. It's purely, our favorite is a different distinction than our best. I think the best films ever made, technically greatest films ever made, are made right now. Mm-hmm. Pixar, I think, makes the greatest films of all time on an immensely technical measurement.
Right.
They're the most accomplished that there's ever been. The fact that they make so much money, I think, just further validates their skill and their quality. They speak to everybody. Everybody wants to see their movies. They help everybody become, in some way, more better people. So, to me, the best films on a technical level made today. The art has improved and improved. I guess I'll limit this particularly to animation. The art has never been greater than it is today. The artistic slash technical measurement of things, I think today is the best. Favorite, though, that's got such a personal connotation. That's got nothing to do with the technical quality of anything. Mm-hmm. It has everything to do with where you were when you saw it, who you were when you saw it, and what you became from experiencing the film.
So what was magic about Charlie Chaplin?
Well, here I make a distinction between the qualities of the human being and the qualities of the artist. I love Chaplin as a craftsman. I certainly love his films. I love his character. And I love quite a lot of things that he did as a person, I guess. The commitment to quality has always inspired me. He would do things over and over and over again. He was very stingy in real life with money, but he was very extravagant when it came to making his movie. He wanted it to be as good as he could make it. He was a perfectionist. He had a whole series of terrible experiences throughout his life, especially his very dark childhood. He was the ultimate survivor. He kept choosing to win. He never choose to lose. He found a way to survive and adapt and make do and get over it and on and on. There's a lot of things about him as a person I think are pretty reprehensible, but I always try and think a bit of a difference there. I'm not judging his soul, I'm judging the soul in his work, I guess. And to me, there's a lot to be learned from him. There's a lot of inspiration to be gained from his life, from his sort of positive outlook. Find the way to do good work, no matter what. A bit of an ultimate irony is that he tried to change the world through his movies, and all he did was cheer people up. And he decided to settle for that. It's like, that's not so bad, was sort of his attitude.
Tell me why you think it's important that we have historical context with regard to modern media arts.
Well, I'm very glad to get this question. It's, to me, the foundation of the entire animation program. For as long as I've been here, it's been the founding principle for all the education. As you mentioned in your introduction, the animation department was founded, the very first thing we taught here. It's founded by Lee Mishkin in his late 60s, and he taught until his 70s. And the whole point was to adapt the past for the needs of the future. What worked? The approach I take, the history course that I teach, the animation history one, it's the study of the becoming of things. Right? The very definition of studying history is to learn from experience. Our approach is learn the stories. Learn the stories. I would say one issue I have with the way modern audiences tend to watch older films or listen to older radio drama or interact with the older people is to be a bit more humble about it. Let's take the older films. They're old. They are different. They're completely different in pacing. Depending on the period, they're rather different in cinematic style. And so rather than sort of keeping yourself on the outside in some kind of tower, citadel of smugness, like, oh, we're so much better today, I would say submit to the work. Approach it emotionally rather than intellectually, and choose to win, don't choose to lose. There's something to be said for witnessing the first of something. They don't know what you know. They're guessing, they're inventing, they're pioneering, and sometimes a new art form. They are different, they're going to sound different and look different. We'll celebrate the differences. There's something to be learned from them. And every once in a while, there's something lost to be regained from studying these old works.
So that's Charles Phillips. Really fascinating man, huh? If you're a history buff at all, you could just sit for hours and talk with him about Orson Welles or Charlie Chaplin or Harold Lloyd. I want to thank Charles for joining me today and taking the time to chat. And I really want to thank him for sharing his passion and his enthusiasm and all his knowledge about the history of media arts. I think it's a really, really important aspect of what we do. Thanks for joining us. I'm Smitty.